Welcome to Cosine Law example number 1. We are given this situation here. And in this situation, how do we know we have to use cosine law? Again, we have to identify what we've been given. So we have been given a side and an angle and another side. And this angle is contained. So what we have here is side, angle, side. As a result, you cannot use the sine law. So we're going to write out the cosine law now. And we are given angle B. If we are given angle B, right, we know we can solve for little b. That's the one we can find. So this is the version of the formula we need to use. B squared. And at the very end, which is cosine angle B, because that's what's given. Right? B squared equals to the other two sides squared. So what are the other two sides? A squared plus c squared minus 2ac. Those are the other two sides. Cosine angle B. And so we do know A across from big A is small a, across from big C is small c. Right? We know A, we know C, we know A, we know C, we know angle B. So that means we can plug it into this formula and solve for side B. So across from, we have small a, which is going to be 15 squared. Make sure you put in brackets. C is 20, so we plug that in brackets. C squared minus 2a. Small a is 15. Small c is 20. And cosine of angle B, which is 124. And now we plug things into our calculator, following Venn math. So B 15 squared is going to be 225. 20 squared would be 400. This will be 30 times 20, which would be 600 times cosine 124. All right. So we are continuing just to evaluate or simplify what's going on here. 225 plus 400 is going to be 625 minus 600 cosine 124. Now, right here, I'm going to highlight this. This is the most common error I see all the time. So many people will think that you have to subtract these two first. But you have to identify what is in between C and cosine B. If there is no operation that's listed in between C and cosine B, that is multiplication. So this is multiplying. Right here, this is multiplying. You have to multiply this number here. This is just a number you put in your calculator, right? So if you're able to put this into your calculator, you're doing 600 times something. This is what you have to evaluate first. So I'm going to put this in huge pink brackets that's kind of invisible. You might want to put it in your ultimate formula for cosine. So remember that you do have to evaluate this first before you can subtract whatever this is. All right, you must evaluate what this part of the expression is first before this part. Okay. So b squared equals 625. You can do 600 times cosine 124. 600 times cosine 124. And that's going to be negative 300. Okay, so this is negative 335.515 dot, dot, dot. I'm keeping every single decimal in there. Two negatives become plus sign. So we're going to be multiplying 1. So we're going to be adding 625 plus this number in my calculator. So plus 625, that should be 900 something, 960. B squared equals to 960 dot 515 dot, dot, dot. And one last step, or maybe two, is we need to isolate for b. We've solved for b squared. We need to find out what b is. So in order to, isolate for b, to get rid of the square sign, we need to square root this. And remember, when you square root both sides, there's going to be two answers. Okay, mathematically, there's two answers. You must list that there's been two answers. Right? To solve this equation right here, there's going to be two possible answers. But you know that b, in this case, represents a side at distance, and you cannot have a length that is negative. So now you must tell me you reject it. Okay? You must show this step, because mathematically there's going to be two answers, a plus and minus, from all that work in the quadratics unit, right? So now we take the square root of everything without taking off those numbers in the calculator, and this is going to be 30.99 dot dot dot, which is approximately 31 units. There's no listed thing there. Okay, so this is going to be 31 or 30.992 dot dot dot. And so if we want to solve for another part of the triangle, if we want to solve the triangle, which is something that we have to write down here, in order to solve the triangle, which means find every unknown, we actually have to use another law in order to find out what this side angle is or this angle. But we now have an angle side pairing, which means we can use sine law. Okay? So we can write out the sine law here. Sine A over A equals sine B over side B, sine C over small c. Angle A we do not know. Small a we knew, we do. Side A is going to be 15. Angle B is 124. Side B is 30.992. Dot dot dot. Angle C we do not know, but we do know what side C is, which is 20. And so because we have that angle side pairing of B and side B and angle B, we can actually choose either this or the other two, B and C. I just chose A right there, and we can solve for angle A. So we're going to choose that. In order to isolate for angle A, what's the opposite of dividing by 15? That's multiplying by 15. So that's going to be sine 124 times 15 over 30.992 dot dot dot. So sine of 124 times 15 divided by 30.992, 12184. I kept all those decimal places, and what we have now is 0.4012 dot dot dot. Okay, so now they're asking what angle. So you need to solve for that angle. You have to get rid of sine, so the opposite of sine is going to be sine inverse. Sine inverse of 0.4012 dot dot dot. Keeping every single decimal place. So I'm going to sine inverse that whole answer, and I get 23.656 dot dot dot. And that is this part right here, 23.656 dot dot dot. And so we can solve for angle C now. Angle C is 180 minus 124 minus 23.656 dot dot dot. And we can do this because we know that all three angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to take this number, subtract 180 and 124. So that's going to be 32.343 dot dot dot. And so now we can round to no decimal places. So 32 degrees. This can be approximately 24 degrees. And there we go. We have now solved the triangle. We know every angle on every side. So how do we solve this triangle, which means finding every angle on the side? First thing we did was we identified that we were given side angle side. Once you know you're given side angle side, you're going to have to use cosine law. So plug in what you know, okay, and identify which one you needed to know, which version of the formula you need to do. And in this case, because they're looking for B and we have angle B, we start with the version with B on it. Plug in what we know, evaluate, square root both sides, reject the negative, and then use this. Now we know what this side B is, and use that side B in order to use sine law, because we now have an angle side pairing. Once we have this angle side pairing, we can solve for, solve for big A, angle A, or we can solve for angle C, but we chose A, making sure you multiply by 15 and making sure to remember to sine inverse both sides. Get that angle, and then use the fact that angles add up to 180 to find out that third one. Okay? If you have any questions, email me or Google chat me, and we'll see you in the next video.